Hi, this is Sarah. In this lecture, we will discuss the preoperative examination for cataract surgery. The learning goals of this presentation are to introduce various approaches to preoperative cataract evaluation and to familiarize ourselves with the equipment essential to these processes. Understanding these key areas will enable us to grasp the full scope of cataract surgery. Cataract is a condition that affects an estimated 95 million people worldwide, making it a significant global health concern. Despite advancements in medical technology, cataract remains the leading cause of blindness in middle-income and low-income countries. Cataract surgery, therefore, stands as one of the most common surgical procedures performed globally. The procedure involves the removal of the cloudy lens and its replacement with an artificial lens. Importantly, the success of this surgery is highly dependent on thorough preoperative and postoperative evaluations. This slide presents the relative contribution of each cause to the crude prevalence of blindness and moderate to severe vision impairment in 2020 by age group. Please take a minute to study the graph. Now, let's discuss the indications for cataract surgery. Visual impairment, which interferes with daily activities such as driving or reading, is one of the primary indications. Patients often report symptoms like blurred or double vision and a loss of contrast sensitivity. Additionally, cataract-related complications, such as secondary glaucoma or inflammation, and lens dislocation, particularly in cases of hypermature senile cataracts, may necessitate surgical intervention. It is crucial to note that the outcome of cataract surgery, both in terms of objective and subjective visual improvement, does not solely depend on preoperative visual acuity. For instance, the Swedish Nike clinical tool doesn't enforce a specific visual acuity requirement, although a threshold of 20 out of 40 is often set. In this slide, the Nike tool and its items are presented. On the other hand, cataract surgery is contraindicated in cases where there is no visual impairment or where medical or ophthalmic conditions exist that may not permit safe surgical outcomes. For example, infections, corneal opacity, small pupils, or high ametropia could complicate the surgery, making it unsafe to proceed. In such situations, it's essential to carefully weigh the risks and benefits. Moving forward, let's focus on the preoperative evaluation, a critical step in ensuring the success of cataract surgery. The evaluation begins with a comprehensive systemic assessment. A thorough medical history, including the use of systemic or topical medications, is essential. Allergies, in particular, should be documented carefully. For pediatric patients or those who may not cooperate during surgery, such as individuals with Parkinson's disease or epilepsy, general anesthesia should be considered. Certain medical conditions might necessitate delaying cataract surgery. For instance, patients who have experienced a myocardial infarction within the previous 30 days, especially if complicated in the last 60 days, should wait. Similarly, those who have undergone percutaneous coronary interventions or who suffer from significant arrhythmias, decompensated heart failure, or acute pulmonary conditions should also be cautious. Percutaneous coronary interventions without stenting within 14 days or with stents within 30 days are reasons to postpone the surgery. Additionally, acute or recent severe neurological conditions and malignant hypertension are reasons to reconsider the timing of the surgery. In the case of diabetic patients, conditions such as diabetic ketoacidosis or hyperosmolar hyperglycemic non-ketotic syndrome are clear indicators to postpone the surgery. Interestingly, routine medical investigations before cataract surgery are not always necessary, as studies have shown that they do not significantly impact surgical outcomes. However, certain precautions should still be taken. For instance, alpha-1 adrenergic receptor antagonists are linked to intraoperative floppy iris syndrome, a condition that is not easily prevented even if the medication is discontinued. Conversely, anticoagulants and antiplatelet agents usually do not need to be stopped before surgery. patients with HIV, HBV, or HCV should follow general precautions, ensuring that their viral load and condition are stable before proceeding with surgery. The ophthalmological evaluation is just as crucial. This evaluation starts with a detailed patient history, including prior refractive surgeries, history of herpes simplex virus, HSV, infections, dry eye disease, or contact lens use. Next, visual acuity should be assessed with and without correction, and glare testing should be conducted to evaluate the impact of the cataract on the patient's vision. Following this, the assessment of pupillary function and ocular alignment is conducted. An external examination is also necessary to check for conditions such as conjunctivitis, entropion, ectropion, logophthalmus, dacryocystitis, blepharitis, and corneal staining. These conditions can influence the surgical approach or may need treatment before surgery can proceed. The glare test determines how bright light affects the patient with cataract. In cases where the patient has a history of ocular HSV infection, prophylactic antiviral medication may be considered. Acyclovir, for example, can be administered in various regimens, typically starting 7 days before surgery. The most common regimen involves taking 400 mg twice daily, though other dosing schedules may be used depending on the patient's specific needs. Next, we proceed to measure intraocular pressure, a vital parameter to assess before surgery. An increase in intraocular pressure can complicate the surgical procedure and affect the recovery process. Additionally, a slit lamp examination of the anterior segment, lens, and vitreous humor is necessary. This detailed examination helps in identifying any abnormalities that might not be visible through a simple external examination. Ophthalmoscopy is also performed to examine the macula, retina, and optic nerve. If the cataract is dense and prevents visualization of the posterior segment, other tests, such as OCT or a B-scan ultrasound, may be required to assess the eye's internal structures. Specular microscopy is helpful in cases of cornea guttata, where special caution must be taken to minimize endothelial strain. One of the most critical steps in preoperative planning is the accurate determination of the intraocular lens power. Biometry is the process used to measure the eye's anatomical features, which helps in calculating the appropriate IOL power. While the A-scan is one of the methods used, it's considered less accurate compared to more advanced techniques. This slide presents the printout of biometry measurements including axial length, anterior chamber depth, keratometry values, and the calculated IOL power. Scintigraph tomography or placido-based corneal topography is often used in premium cataract surgeries. These modern methods, along with pupillometry and aberrometry, provide a more detailed assessment, ensuring that the selected multifocal IOL offers the best possible visual outcome for the patient. In these photos, we can see 4 examples of pupillometry, in which we assess the pupil size in mesopic light conditions, the angle kappa, and the pupil center shift. In each case, these 3 pupillometry parameters are carefully characterized as approved or not, and taken into consideration to decide if a patient is a suitable candidate for multifocal IOL implantation. If pupillometry is prohibitive for the implantation of a multifocal IOL, then we can consider the implantation of a monofocal or a monofocal plus intraocular lens. On the day of surgery, certain factors must be carefully evaluated to ensure a smooth procedure. For example, hypertension is often a concern, but according to the Perioperative Quality Initiative, elective surgery should not be cancelled solely because of elevated blood pressure. Likewise, the Society for Ambulatory Anesthesia, the so-called SAMBA, advises against acutely lowering blood pressure immediately before surgery. The decision should be based on a comprehensive assessment rather than a single elevated reading. Similarly, hyperglycemia does not necessarily warrant the cancellation of cataract surgery. There is no definitive evidence suggesting that a specific blood glucose concentration or hemoglobin A1C level should delay the procedure. As long as the patient is otherwise stable, surgery can usually proceed. If a patient presents with new-onset atrial fibrillation, it may still be safe to proceed with the surgery, especially if the procedure is minor and expected to have limited duration and complexity. The key is to ensure that the patient is asymptomatic and hemodynamically stable. Regarding sedation, oral sedation or analgesia is often preferred due to its ease of administration, high patient acceptance, and low cost. This approach helps induce a state in which patients can respond to verbal commands while their airway reflexes and cardiorespiratory function remain unaffected. However, it is important to note that cognitive function and physical coordination may be temporarily impaired. In the United Kingdom, guidelines generally recommend that patients undergoing ophthalmic surgery under local anesthesia without sedation do not need to fast, which minimizes patient discomfort and simplifies preoperative preparations. Reasons to postpone surgery also include inflammation of the eye and its accessory structures, as shown in this slide. If all the above factors favor the continuation of the surgery, mydriatic drops are instilled, vitals are taken, and the procedure begins. In conclusion, this lecture introduced the approaches to preoperative evaluation for cataract surgery and familiarized us with the equipment used. We explored the importance of comprehensive patient assessment, including detailed medical history and ocular examinations, to ensure optimal surgical outcomes. By emphasizing these approaches and the relevant technologies, we can enhance our clinical practice and ultimately improve patient care in cataract surgery. On this slide, you can find a few references for further reading. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this presentation on the preoperative examination for cataract surgery, and please don't forget to run the self-evaluation tests of the lecture.